what's being revealed in Hollywood, there was a moment of questioning, do I still want to go there?
I think there's a tendency to say, because of that, all of this is wrong. Should people meet their heroes? Does it change the dream? I think it does.
And the pedestal is a disservice to both sides. And when the people say, don't meet your hero, they're attaching some kind of a meaning to it.
As pioneers and innovators in rare things, we are definitely going to look at those who went before us, and it is impossible to not see their fault.
If you meet your hero and it's amazing, great. If you meet your hero and it's not amazing, great. Why did I have an expectation of them? They're human.
It's an emotional stand-up that happens because you can't get your vision off the back of the person who first inspired you.
So I just got back from speaking at 3 events in a row this week, which doesn't actually happen that often, but just all happened to be in 1 week. It was crazy. And a question that I got from someone in the audience, like teaching about how to grow your audience and how to drive traffic, how to build a relationship online, build influence through social media. They were like, how do I do this without seeming like I'm bragging?
Yeah.
My answer to that was, what's wrong if you are bragging? I think people who are good should be louder because people who are bad are loud. And
that's a good point, actually.
If you're obsessed and passionate about something, please, it is your moral obligation to be loud about it, and you should brag about what you're good at, which is a bit of a segue into something that's really top of mind and top of news right now is what's being revealed in Hollywood. And these people that we love and admire on our TV screens, that turns out that they are involved in some sex trafficking. And it's made me, we've talked about my dream is to make movies in Hollywood. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, my heroes. There was a moment of questioning, do I still want to go there? Do I still want to be in Hollywood? And as I thought about it more, I thought about my answer to that guy in the audience of good people should be louder. But also, if there's this undertow of, I don't even know what to call that. Is that evil? Then maybe good people just can't make it there.
Well, what do you think about the whole Hollywood thing then? Just to put it back on what you're like, does it make you want to stay in Hollywood? Because in the same breath, I kind of feel like it's like, I watched some employee in Panera Bread. It was a video. It was a TikTok.
Oh, I was like, when did you work at Panera Bread?
No. It was today. I was watching a TikTok, and this Panera Bread employee was going ballistic, like punching one of the customers and like throwing things, and all the rest of the
customer?
Yeah, all the customers tackled this employee, went nuts. And I'm pretty sure it was a Panera Bread employee. But I think there's a tendency to say, well, because of that, all of this is wrong. You know what I'm saying?
So it's sample size of 1.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't think it poisons the whole thing. It depends on, is it the head of the snake doing it? Because if so, the rest of the body is probably participating. But if it's just some offshoot, you know what I'm saying? If it's like 1 or 2 people, I don't think Panera Bread makes bad sandwiches just because one person went psycho. That's that one person.
Yeah, that's just a poor hiring choice.
Right, poor hiring choice. And I'd be like, well, Will Smith and Diddy and, looks like maybe even Michael Jackson and all these people are, and we've all kind of suspected it. I've suspected it. How come these Epstein things are so hard to find? Why is that list not, and I know we're recording this before the election barely, but like that stuff is, there feels like there's a bubble about to pop. A lot of bad stuff's about to come out that's already happened, and people are about to get, but does that mean Hollywood is bad? Like, do you have to give up the dream just because someone else squandered their shot? I don't think so. But I'm sure it taints it.
You know how...
It's the death of the hero.
Yeah. And they say, don't meet your heroes. They'll let you down. And I've been meeting some heroes lately, and I've had incredible experiences, but also when the rug is pulled out from under you and you see these things that you just never expected, it's like, wait, what is true? And I was so blindsided, especially after 2020, to find how mainstream media and the powers that be are gaslighting or changing perspectives by just, there's this invisible puppeteer that's pulling strings back there. That's like, I don't, it's hard to know what's real. That, sometimes having a little homestead off grid and isolating sounds
kind of nice. It's like, so
what
game
am I playing right now?
Yeah. Where did your head go with it then? Like, is it still something? I mean, I have no doubt you're going to be in Hollywood. And it's something I had to like emotionally prepare for when we first started dating. It wasn't, oh, I wonder if she'll ever get in. Oh, what a nice dream. It was more like, I know who you are. I know you go get what you want, and because you work for it and you relentlessly manifest and network and use your superpowers towards it, and it's like so it was more like I had to emotionally prepare for it.
How so?
This is the first time though I've ever heard you say like questioning the dream.
Yeah. I mean, there's always the question of the dream when things feel hard that you're like, oh, is this the right direction to go? But this one rocked me a little bit more, because you hear the things of like, I mean, when I went to LA a few months ago for kind of just exploratory meetings, that, things like that. I had some, I think, well-meaning but jaded people that had been around Hollywood that were like, they'll chew you up and spit you out and don't go out alone. And I was like, I don't receive that. I appreciate you, but no, that's not what I'm going out to attract or expose. But then I'm like, is there truth to it? I also think that if I hadn't done the mental, emotional, spiritual work, like if I went into Hollywood in my early 20s, it would be a completely different situation because of the mirror that I am, like what I would reflect back in that it probably would have been very dangerous. I was very approval seeking and could have gotten caught up in some really bad situations.
Sure. Just because of
being naive. Sure. But then it's like, you don't know you're naive when you're naive.
It's the worst form of
naivete.
So then does it change the dream or embolden you?
What has helped is some meetings that I've had recently. And I don't want to name drop, but I'll just say, like, I've had meetings with a woman in particular that worked in Hollywood, big status in the 90s. Yeah. Now she's retired. She still is working she works for a big record label, and she still has her hands in a lot of things, but she's very much now focused on like philanthropy. She's made a lot of money. She's doing a lot of good with it. And she really encouraged me that I can produce my own work. And me in my 20s, if I would have pursued the dream then, I would have been the starving artist archetype, hat in my hands. Please choose me. I'll do whatever it takes. I'll contort myself. You need a dumb blonde? I'll be a dumb blonde. Oh, you need a whatever. Like I would contort myself to fit whatever I think that they would have wanted. And she really validated and encouraged and empowered me that how I'm entering the dream now is she's like, you're a producer. I mean, look at my business, look at my YouTube channel. I made a documentary, and my first one won awards at film festivals and was seen by people at Paramount, and, got some incredible introductions. And it was so great to have that reflected back to me, because I don't think it's hard to see the label, hard to read the label from the inside. And I think that's like what I'm holding on to now is I'm like, I don't know for sure what I'm stepping into. It's a world I haven't entered before. And there's more caution now with like, wow, once the curtain is revealed or the kimono's been opened, there's some stuff in there that I feel a little cautious about. But I think I have evidence that I've been able to produce my own work and trust that I'm trying to say this without being cheesy, that it all work out the way it's supposed to be. Because any things that I've stepped into that were dangerous or regrets, you don't regret them, because you need, like, I wouldn't trade Omaha, where I was before I ended up in Boise, who I was with before I ended up with you, the divorce that I had to go through to be able to go through the therapy that brought me to you, here, us, this. So all this to say, there's been a yield sign
Sure.
that has shown up in front of my dream, but at the same time, it's there's a different, I guess, energy attached to it. And I think also through faith and evidence of previous challenges, it hasn't been a stop sign. It's been a yield sign.
I think it's a great way to say it, because, okay, like there's a route I want to take down with this that's hit me hard with this. It's like, should people meet their heroes? Should people get to know their heroes? What does it do to the dream? Does it change the dream? I think it does. And it's not that it changes the dream in terms of what you want, but I think it does. You know, one of my favorite quotes was from a guy you and I were coached by for a long time, several years ago. He said, and I had just experienced the death of the hero. And he said, well, what do you expect? And I was like, what do you mean? And that was not the reaction I was assuming and from him, you know. And he said, Stephen, we don't make gods of men. And I think that's one of the things that can be dangerous, is when our dream, we get really crystal clear on the dream, but then we have to step back and recognize that we can't go and place any amount of responsibility or burden on another human being to get us with our dream, and the person isn't the dream. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it's a house of cards. So with this Hollywood dream, which I still believe that you will do, but how cool to be able to sit down. It kind of reminds me of a conversation I had with my dad. It's when I was going to get married, and I was talking to him about like, hey, why'd you do this? How come I did that? It was that part of life when you start questioning, like, how come I was raised this way versus this way? Or why did you take this route? And I wasn't critiquing. I was literally just inquiring, right? Where was your mind at when you parented me like this versus that? And after a while, my dad stopped me, looked at me, and he goes, hey, I didn't do perfect. I expect you to do better than me. It's actually your job to go further than I did. Your
parents have told me that. I asked them last week.
Yeah.
I asked them, because I was visiting your parents and just happened to be in town, so I stayed at their place even though you weren't there. And I asked them, what did you have to unlearn from your parents for you in your parenting? And one of the things that they said was, sometimes there's different values in the generations, but that doesn't mean that anyone's wrong or anyone's right. It's just, in general, as parents, we all want our kids to do better than we did.
And it's part of the job of the generation, the younger one, to own that. And so maybe applied to this very same scenario, it's like, okay, here's what those before us did pertaining to the dream, the path that was laid. I like this part of the path they took. Ooh, hate that part. You know what I mean? And now say, you know what? I'm going to go and do better than the generation before, so to speak, those before me. And it's my job to go further than they did. And it's not a comparison thing. It's, but there's, I think that's the beauty of it, is like, as pioneers and innovators and rare things, is we are definitely going to look at those who went before us, and it is impossible to not see their faults. Like, you're going to see the faults, and some of them are really bad. And then we step back and say, well, I'm going to go forward, and I'm still going to go after the dream, but I'm not going to let, just because it's almost like, I was talking about this with the girls. I was like, do you ever see one of those rules an adult will make where, some kid goes nuts and throws something at the wall, therefore no one's allowed to touch that object anymore, or whatever? You know what I mean? It's like one of those rules where it's like, that's not a...
game over.
Game over for everybody.
You broke the vase, and now no one's playing anything anymore.
Well, like, even in our neighborhood, right? Like, all right, everyone has to put their basketball hoops in their garage at night. And the neighborhood is like, what? Why? Just because one person did something weird? You know what I mean? It's like one of those rules. And I think it's easy in our visions and our dreams to say, because X happened by association, not causality, I'm going to go make a rule that is not real, and shift the dream. But I actually think all it does is refine the dream.
And then there's two directions you can take. You can agree with the random rule that has been set by someone, or then people also question it. And then the people that question it can be part of changing it, or potentially even making art out of it. Because one thing that started to come to me as you were saying this, I'm like, my documentary, the first documentary I made was about cancel culture. And usually artists create art pertaining to something that they have experienced or that they are questioning to explore it. We write love songs because it's an emotion that we want to be able to, whether it's therapeutically overcome, experience. And maybe this is just because this has been strong on my mind lately. Maybe that's an invitation to the next topic that I explore. I mean, we've been involved with Operation Underground Railroad, and several months ago when Tim Ballard was being dragged through the mud and all the accusations, which now have publicly, a lot of them have been, I don't know what the word is, shot down. Like, these women were lying. They were trying to take him down.
It's an organized attack against them.
And it's like, is that evil? Like, why? Why would someone do that and target a person who is Captain America? Like, someone that is saving children without being asked to. He is putting his life on the line, his family's life. Like, imagine being his wife, that when he goes out on a raid, I don't know if that's the word that you call it, but like when he's going to go expose these pedophiles and
just did
villains.
One, by the way. Yeah. I saw it, Mexican border.
Like, imagine being the wife that's like, I'm grateful to be married to a man that is changing and saving lives, and there are decades of people who may never even know his name that were impacted by what he did that day. But is he going to come home to my family tonight?
Right.
Like, he has sacrificed so much, and then to have that
get drugged through the mud
and ruined financially, and his reputation, and like that stuff, you can't put the toothpaste back in the bottle. There's people that still believe it, and media sources that will still perpetuate it. And I remember circling on that for a long time, that I was so outraged and angry, and I'm getting a little emotional now. Like, and I've actually, I was gonna say I've never met Tim. I've met him briefly once, and just following him and knowing his story, it's funny. Another one of these like heroes that you've never met, but you feel like you know them because you follow them, and they're kind of a peripheral part of your life because of the impact they've made on you. And yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm getting that this is going to be a topic that I'll explore or care about and make some art around.
I think that it's important. The whole "don't meet your heroes" is a very victim mentality of our goals.
Well,
it's to stand back and say, if I meet my hero and I don't like who they are, therefore I can't it's like, what? Like, nobody's perfect, and then we make gods of men, put them on a pedestal. It's like when you and I meet someone out in the grocery store walking around, they're like, Marley Jackson, Steve Larson, oh my gosh. And it's like, come on, like I get that. But sometimes it's so easy to put someone on a pedestal, and then to find out they're human can be detrimental. I mean, I've gone through that.
And the pedestal is a disservice to both sides.
Both sides. Yeah.
And when the people say, don't meet your hero, they're attaching some kind of a meaning to it, that if you meet your hero and it's amazing, great. If you meet your hero and it's not amazing, great. I've met celebrities that weren't what I hoped they would be.
Sure.
But that's also, again, a disservice to both sides. Why did I have an expectation of them just because I've seen them on a screen or on a stage? They're human. I've seen, I'm thinking of one person in particular that he came into the studio one day when I was working at the radio station in Toronto, and he was like, fresh off the airplane, lots of fans, autograph please. And he was like, and that's the energy that came in, like, as he walked through the door, as I got to see him. And it wasn't what I would hope it would be like, hi, the way that I would be to him. Well, he doesn't owe me anything. And I think I was like 20 or something like that. My 20-year-old self was like, at the time, oh, he was kind of a jerk. And then over time I realized,
dude might be tired.
He might be tired. He might have just gotten a phone call that he didn't want.
He just was signing a ton of other things.
I actually had a woman that I remember this moment. It was during a mastermind. It was actually during the two Comma Club cruise. And I was like in the thick of my divorce. And it was I didn't realize how hard that event was going to be for me because it was my first time in public after announcing my divorce. And I got a lot of attention, and it was attention that was uncomfortable because it was like, I'm so sorry. Oh, honey. And I was like, I was really
I remember that.
stunned by it.
Yeah. It was like sticky, gross sympathy that was like you're a wounded animal.
And it's weird though, because it's like, you don't want to ignore it, but you also don't want to say the wrong thing. Yeah. My best advice for how to acknowledge or respond or be there for someone when they're in a time of need, whether that's sadness or also happiness, but really it's usually a time of grief, is ask them, how can I be the best friend for you right now? What kind of friend do you need me to be right now? And I thought that because my answer is different than what yours probably is. And I remember talking to my friend Mandy and saying that's my go-to now is if a friend is grieving, how can I be a friend for you right now? And my answer would be, come over, let's eat some good food, talk to me. And she was like, oh, I would want you to sit beside me and say nothing. I was like, really? Yeah, that's what she wants. I had no idea. But that's how to ask. Anyway, on this cruise, I remember that we were on the beach and I was talking to Dave Woodward. I love him so much, miss him. And we were having an emotional conversation about it. And he was so wonderful to me, as Dave is, and just pouring into me. And there were I was telling him about some things that I had lost in the divorce, like things that I had that now are not in my home anymore. And he was like, I got it. And he replaced them. And he like bought these new things for me, which
that's right.
Incredible. So sweet. Oh, and right after that conversation, I met this woman and I was like emotional, as I'm kind of getting right now too. And I was not present in the conversation because that just happened. And she was like, hi, nice to meet you. And I was like, hi. And I just wasn't all there. And she told me later that she thought that I was dismissing her and that I wasn't very nice. And I was so glad that we had a conversation later that had redeemed that she told me that. And I was like, oh, I was just in a moment of grief that had nothing to do with you. And she acknowledged it. She's like, I recognized later that I judged where you were at, and then later I found out that you were going through a divorce and I just had no idea. So it was lucky for me that I had the opportunity to redeem that, but also things like that probably happen every single day that you don't know. And so it goes both ways.
I think it's important when you meet someone that you've looked up to or maybe consume a lot of their content or whatever it is to recognize that they're not always on stage, you know, they're not always performing, and that stage is a performance.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's not to say that you're being lied to either, but there's, you know, the human elements. I had someone say something very similar to me who was like, I met you and I don't know if I liked you. It was weird. It was a DM I got like a couple months ago.
Thanks.
Yeah. It was really nice though. It was out of the blue. And the person DM'd me and said, I know you don't know me, but I've held a lot of anger against you for a while, or resentment. I recognize now you're going through a lot of stuff, but also that I made a weird expectation out of you and realized that you are a human being and didn't, and you were probably going through a lot of stuff. And I just want to thank you for your work and things you've done. And I was like, you have no idea. I have no idea who this person is.
Wow.
Still don't remember the name, but just that, I think that's the attitude to take. And I think it's one of the tough parts about things like cameras now is that there's a tendency to just we
are under a microscope.
Right. All the time. And it's like, no, there's like hair down moments too. There's like human moments. There's the full range of experience going on for every single person. I don't think that excuses things like crazy crap in Hollywood, right? But I don't think it's fair to say don't ever meet your heroes. Why? They're the ones that are inspiring you. But eventually, what I've noticed is that the inspiration, like drip IV, runs out. And you can no longer go off the back of what someone else did. And you have to learn to like plug into your own power source, you know? And I think that involves refreshing vision and knowing what your purpose is. And it's an emotional stand-up that happens because you can't get your vision off the back of the person who first inspired you. It's not their job to save you. It's not their job to handhold you. And it's literally all on you. And whoever first placed that first epiphany in our brains, We thank them for it, but do not place the responsibility of gaining that on their shoulders also. And I think it's the mentality between, I say this to a lot of my clients. You're Frodo. I'm Gandalf. You're going to carry the ring to Mordor. I'm going to guide you. I cannot move your legs for you.
You are your own hero.
I will not save you. I'm not here to save you. If you think that's what you bought, I owe you a refund and you are not supposed to be in this program. I'm not here to save you. No one's coming to save you. But I'm a guide and I'll be right here, but I'll never take a step further than I take with you, or that you take never more than one step that you take.
Amen.
Right? And I think that there's that tendency especially with cameras and short form and all this lifestyle that we have now where everyone can see, to look at it, and then we start making gods of men and saying, wow, they got it all together. Nobody does. In your experience, this Hollywood thing's going on. It's probably going to go on for a while. And my gut's telling me there's a lot more. There's a lot more. And it's what's been hidden. And we can all kind of feel it, especially this last presidential cabinet. There's a lot going on. And, it's sticky and messy and gross, and people deserve justice. And how does that affect your vision for moving forward? Is it refining? Is it to make the question more clear, is it like a let's take a knee and take a second to recollect kind of a thing, or you press forward, or what are you feeling?
You know that Mr. Rogers quote that's find the helpers? Have you heard that one?
No.
When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping. To this day, especially in times of disaster, I remember my mother's words, and I'm always comforted by realizing that there are still so many helpers, so many caring people in this world. I didn't grow up with Mr. Rogers in Canada. We had Mr. Dressup. He had a tickle trunk.
Never heard of it.
Love Mr. Dressup. I met him once when I was 6. That was my first hero that I met, I guess. Speaking of. I remember the first time that I watched the Mr. Rogers documentary. I cried for a couple days because I was so touched by his message. I didn't grow up with Mr. Rogers, and I was like, I missed out. Here's this man that every single day says, I love you exactly as you are. And I'm like, imagine if my 5-year-old me heard that every day. There's this one scene. Oh my gosh. Anyone listening to this, you have to just find on YouTube. It's this beautiful video of Mr. Rogers talking to a young boy who's in a wheelchair. And they're singing this song together. It's you I like just the way you are. And I watched that on repeat for days and cried over it, and it really touched a soft part of me, and there was this longing for something in my childhood that I didn't have. So Mr. Rogers also had a lot of struggle to get public broadcast PBS funded. And imagine if he would have not done it because of people that said no, or people that were in a higher power that thought that they should do things the way that they wanted to. And thank God for Mr. Rogers, and look for the helpers. Be a helper.
Yeah.
Actually, I was in a think tank yesterday for my business and had these amazing entrepreneurs around me, and they asked the question of what would you do if money was no issue, and what would you do if you had bajillions of dollars. And I just started rattling off, and they were things that actually kind of surprised me. I was like, I would invest so much more in the content side of the business, because I would just want to keep putting out content to keep reaching people. I would more videographers, script writers, YouTube team, just keep building. And I would want to invest in really amazing, talented people with amazing stories, and then also share those stories. And then I was like, I want to help girls with period poverty. That one really, when we went to Africa, and I didn't even know the word period poverty before that.
Didn't know it was a thing.
Yeah. And for anyone listening that doesn't know what that is, it's girls in third world countries that they can't afford feminine hygiene products. Yeah. And so when they can't, they won't go to school, so they don't get the education they need to better their lives, or in a worst case scenario, they will sell their bodies, and that's how they will afford their lifestyle or the care, the things that they need, the feminine hygiene products. And that like devastated me. And so I started looking into what would it cost to buy this. And because we went to that girls' school in Nairobi, and I was like, what would it cost to fund this whole school with these Ruby cups that are reusable? And they were like, actually, for this school and like the 5 girls' schools in this area, it would actually only be $12,000. I was like, $12,000? I can raise that. Yeah. That's easy.
Yeah.
I want to make billions of dollars so I can help girls like that.
So a couple of years ago, and I know you remember this very well, I was experiencing a serious death of the hero. And I was in a hotel room. Couldn't sleep. And it was a moment of like rage. It was like blind rage. And I smashed my laptop. And I remember that. It really freaked you out. And it was...
yeah, I've never seen you like that before.
I didn't... It was almost so automatic. It was like... I felt like my dream was being taken from me. And powerless against it.
I don't even remember what triggered it.
Oh, I know exactly.
Okay.
I was going to get on stage the next day. Mm-hmm. And I've reflected back many times on why that happened. And a lot of it was the death of the hero. And a lot of my identity was wrapped up in a vision, but a hero other than myself getting me there. Right? And so when you experience the death of the hero, and it was a moment where I recognized that I had become accidentally codependent on the hero to get the dream. And it was a healthy unraveling in the long run, very painful in the short term. That's when that guy said, "We don't make gods of men." And I was like, gosh, I didn't realize I freaking did that. Right? And so it's very common to have an identity crisis, I believe, in pursuit of a dream. And pursuing a dream is going to require tons of identity crises. There's a common exercise. I just did it today, an exercise with a client where they didn't really know who the dream customer was. And sometimes it's easier to realize who the dream customer is not. And so I'll sit down with them and I say, who do you not want to work with? Who's the offer not for? And we make the antithesis of the dream, which is the nightmare, right? Create the nightmare customer profile. And in doing so, we often will find a very clear dream customer starts to rise because we now know what we don't want. And I found that in doing like any kind of identity work in, the stuff with Hollywood, the things that we're doing, any kind of dream stuff, any hiccup along the way, all it's doing is it's challenging us on how bad we want it. And it's also allowing us to say, this is what we don't want. Mm-hmm. And so we're creating a list of like, okay, I still want that, but not like that. I don't want that route, And so I think it's one of the healthy ways to approach, say, hey, identity crisis is totally normal. In any pursuit, you're going to change tremendously. And just like 10x is easier than 2x, you are going to change significantly for any major goal you're going for. It's literally impossible to not. So you will change. You'll feel the earth moving beneath you. But anytime a hero, because I went through this also back when I was working with, like 10 years ago, back working with Russell, and I started meeting the heroes and meeting the people of the books I had been reading in college that inspired me, and I met a lot of them at a very short amount of time. And I experienced death of the hero again. We're building funnels for a lot of famous, big people that I couldn't even believe that I was just like arm's length away from, and I remember it actually affected my vision because I was like, well, I don't want to be successful because I don't want to end up like that. And it was an inappropriate tie, an inappropriate relationship, an assumption. It was also me making a god out of a man, right? Yeah. And it was me, I didn't recognize that till a lot later, but it's like I had to refresh my dream, my vision. And ultimately, I think the reason it's so painful is because it means you have to sit back and actually ask, who am I?
Mm-hmm. What do you want?
I am blank. And actually answering that question is often harder than saying what our vision is. is the self-discovery process that just forces you to go into when you actually meet the hero and it's not what you wanted it to be. And even if it is, I think it's good to keep going through that almost a healthy tailspin as you change.